Good morning, students. This is going to be our first lesson for the week, comparing and ordering decimals, okay? This will help you complete some of the questions in your week 1 assignment in Google Classroom. Okay, so let's get started with our first problem. Olga's comparing numbers in math class. Which symbol will make this comparison correct? So we're going to look at her first number. These are the first two numbers that Olga had to compare. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put my numbers in the place value chart, okay? If you have your place value chart, you can just write it in. If you don't have one, I'm so sorry, you're gonna have to draw a place value chart. So I'm gonna type my numbers in. You'll be writing your numbers in. And then 0, decimal, 3, 0, and 9. So here are her two numbers that she wrote in class, and she's comparing them. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to start here at this place value. 0, 0. What do I know about 0 and 0? They're the same. So I'm going to move on to the next place value, which is my tenths. 3 and 3. What do I know about 3 and 3? They're equal. So I'm going to move over to the next place value chart, and place value, which is the hundreds, and I'm going to compare 2 hundredths and 0 hundredths. Well, what do I know about 2 and 0? I know that 2 is greater than 0. So that means 327 thousandths has to be greater than 309,000, 309 thousandths. So in this section right here, I'm going to put the greater symbol. Okay, let's look at another number that she did in class. She had to compare 1 and 2 hundredths to 1 and 7 hundredths. So again, I'm going to go to my place value chart and I'm going to put my numbers inside of my chart. So I'm going to put my numbers. So this is 1 and 2 hundredths. And then I'm going to put 1 and 7 hundredths. Whoopee, we'll put my 2 back in. Okay. I'm going to do the same thing again. I'm going to start with my biggest place value, which is ones. 1 and 1 are equal. So I have to move to my next place value, which is the tenths. 0 and 0 are equal. So I need to move to the next place value, which is the hundredths. Okay. So I have 2 and 7. I have 2 hundredths, and then I have 7 hundredths. Well, I know 2 is less than 7. So that means 1 and 2 hundredths is going to be less than 7. So I'm going to put it right here. Put my less than sign. Okay. Let's try one more example. Another number that Olga compared was the following. Okay, so Olga compared 2 and 3 tenths and 2 and 305 thousandths. So I'm going to do the same process again. I'm going to put my number in my place value chart. Now, I'm doing this on the computer. You're going to be writing this down. Oh, no. Okay, I have my numbers in my place value chart, and I noticed something. I have numbers here, but I don't have numbers here. So how can I fix that problem? I'm going to add zeros. Zeros do not change the value of the number. It just is, it's a placeholder so that I know when I'm comparing that there's something there. So let's get started. 2 and 2. What do we know about those two numbers? They're equal. 3 and 3. What do we know about those two numbers? They're also equal. So I'm going to move back to the next place value. 0 and 0. Well, what do I know about 0 and 0? They're also equal. So now I'm going to move to the last place value, 0 and 5. Well, I know 0 is less than 5. So that means 2 and 3/10 is going to be less than 2 and 305 thousandths. Okay? This is the first kind of problem that you will see in your Google Classroom assignment today. Now let's go look at another type of comparing and ordering problem. Miss McCord found the mass of 4 rocks in her backyard. Order the mass of the rocks from least to greatest. So here are the 4 rocks that she found and the mass of those rocks. So I need to organize them from what? Least to greatest. So if I were you, I would underline that, write that down somewhere, highlight it, whatever works for you. But I need to know that I'm going from least to greatest. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to type my numbers in my place value chart. Okay. So these are, oh, it goes here. I'm going to place my number in my place value chart. And these are all the rocks that Miss McCord found in her backyard. Okay, so I look at my chart and I realize this number right here in the bottom, 1/10, it has these 2 empty spaces. These spaces have numbers. What am I going to do? I'm going to add zeros. Those are placeholders and they're going to fill in those spaces for me. Now we can compare and order our rocks from least to greatest. So I'm looking for the smallest number. That's going to be the first number that I want. So I'm going to start comparing 0, 0, 0, and 0. They are all equal. So I have to move to the next place value. 1, 0, 1, and 1. Well, which number is the smallest? 1 or 0? 0. So that means rock B, or 17 thousandths, is the smallest, or the rock with the least mass. Okay, so this is going to be my first number. It's going to be least, because that's what they want first, is the rock that has the least amount of mass. So that's going to be my first rock, and that is rock B. Okay, so now I'm left with rock A, C, and D. Well, I know that they are 7. I know that they are 1, 1, and 1. And 1 is equal. All 3 numbers are equal. So I'm going to move to the next place value, and I'm going to put 7, 3, and 0. Out of 7, 3, and 0, which one is the least? 0. So that means rock D is going to be second. This is the rock with the second least amount of mass. So this is going to be number 2, and this is rock D. Okay. Now let's go back and finish up our comparison. I have rock A and rock C. Well, I have 7 and 3. Well, what do I know about 7 and 3? I know that 7 is bigger than 3. So that means the third rock with the least amount of mass is going to be rock C. So that means rock A is the rock with the greatest amount of mass. That's going to be 4. Okay. So far we have compared 2 decimals. We have organized decimals from least to greatest. And this is the same procedure that you will use to organize any set of decimals from greatest to least or least to greatest. You put them in the place value chart and you start comparing them. Okay. Now let's look at one more type of problem and then that will be it. Students measured the distance their airplane flew in a class experiment. Which plane flew greater than 1 in 2,500 feet, but less than 1 in 3/10 feet? So, if we look here, these are the 4 planes that were flown in class. I want to know which one flew greater than 1 in 2,500, but less than 1 in 3/10 of a foot. So, what I need to do is I'm going to actually put my numbers in this chart. So I'm going to put 1 and 2,500, and then at the bottom, I'm going to put 1 and 3/10. So what does this mean? When I put my number in the middle here, I don't want it to be bigger than this, and I don't want it to be bigger than 1 and 3/10, and I don't want it to be smaller than 1 in 2,500. Okay, so let's start with plane A. 1 and 200. Well, if you look here, 1 and 1, they're the same. 2 and 0. 2 is greater than 0. The problem says it has to be greater than 1 in 2,500 feet. So that means plane A would not meet this rule. So it cannot be plane A. Cannot be plane A. Okay. So I'm going to get rid of that and I'm going to scratch out plane A because it cannot be plane A. Let's try plane B. 1, 3, 2, and 4. Now, if we look here, plane B has a number in the thousands and in the hundreds, but I don't have that in my other 2 numbers. So I'm going to add a 0 to help me fill in that space. And now I'm ready to compare. So 1, 1, 1, they're all the same. Okay. 2 and 3. Well, 3 is greater than 2. So it meets this first rule right here. Let's check and see if it's less than 1 in 3/10. Well, 3 and 3 are equal. Okay, let's go move over one more. 2 and 0. Well, I know 2 is greater than 0. So that means this number is bigger than 1 in 3/10. So it cannot be plane B. It's too big. Okay, let's get rid of that. Nope. Let's look at plane C. I'm gonna do the same thing. I don't want it to be smaller than this. I want it to be bigger than this and smaller than 1 in 3/10. So 2 and 2, they're equal. Okay. Let's see. 3 and 5. Well, 5 is bigger than 3. So that means this number is less than 1 in 2,500. So it's not going to be rock C. Rock C is too small, or plane C is too small. So now I'm going to the last video. The last number, rock a plane D, 127. Okay. Now that I've done that, I'm going to compare. So I go 1 and 1 and 1, they're all equal. 2 and 2, they're the same. So I need to move over. 5 and 7. Well, I know 7 is greater than 5. So that means this plane flew further than my question asked, 1 and 25 hundredths. Now let's see if it's less than 1 and 3/10. Well, I have 7 and 0. This recorder made a mistake. Let me go back to the tens. I have 2 and 3. Well, I know 2 is less than 3. So plane D meets my requirements. It flew greater than 1 in 25 hundredths feet, but less than 1 in 3/10 feet. So the answer to this problem will be D. D is the answer to my problem. Thank y'all for being patient. This video will help you with the questions where you're comparing and ordering decimals. If you have any questions, you can see me in class today at 2, or you can shoot me an email or message through ClassDojo or Teams. Thank you.